All right, man. So let's get into it, man. So we had some news come out yesterday. And it was kind of crazy because I invited K Asante to come on because he breaks down like hardware like nobody else I've ever seen, right? And this news came out, and I was like, perfect. I'm glad I got him, man. So he can kind of we can speculate with a subject matter expert in the house. You know what I mean? But yesterday, The Verge broke a story. Microsoft and Intel strike a custom chip deal that could be worth billions, right? Later on, what it says that Intel will be producing custom chips designed by Microsoft for Microsoft as part of the deal that Intel says is worth more than $15 billion.
Are these chips about to be exclusives?
Well, hey, it says Microsoft for Microsoft, so we'll see. We'll see.
I think Asante picked it up. They're gonna be exclusive chips.
Well, you know, it is Microsoft, so it might be for the streets 5 minutes later. You don't know.
Blow the damn horn. Blow the damn horn.
And then Intel announced a partnership during this Intel Foundry event today, although neither company specified what the chips would be used for. Bloomberg noted today that Microsoft has been planning in-house designs for both processors and AI accelerators. So, my speculation on this is that, and my hope, my optimism, is that these are chips for the next Xbox and handheld. That way you can make them super powerful, especially if AI is involved, while keeping the cost somewhat low for consumers. But I want to go to you, K Asante. When you saw this news, I mean, did your spider senses tingle a bit? You know?
No, I'm right where you are, man. And that second part is the part that excites me, the keeping costs low part. Right. I have been one that I've been advocating that the NVIDIA get back into the game. Well, Intel rather get back into the game strong, because NVIDIA ran away with it for a while, and then AI basically gave them so much money they don't care anymore. AMD's doing what they're doing, but they're just winning by default because nobody's trying to do anything else in that space, right? I'm a big handheld guy. You know, I have these handhelds out there, your ROG Allies and things.
Let's go.
They're all just yes.
I'm part of the gang too. I'm part of the gang too.
You know what it is.
Well, y'all say gang, 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 gang.
That's right.
I do not gang.
So they have been winning by default, but they haven't been earning it. You know what I mean? Like the drivers aren't there. They're not doing what their part to make this ground more fertile for more innovation. So I'm and slowly, secretly, NVIDIA. I keep saying NVIDIA. Intel has been kind of building back up to their former greatness. You know, in upscalers being software based. Scale basically helps your game run 480p higher using software rather than the hardware that you run it with, right? And it can run ubiquitous on all hardware. So they've been showing signs of being hungry. And NVIDIA is kind of like, we don't really need that anymore. We already got your 4090 money. So I've been kind of advocating that Intel get in there with one of these manufacturers, because they're hungry to get into the game. You can get them at peanuts on the dollar compared to, say, an NVIDIA or an AMD at this point. AMD is the reference design at this point, right? Microsoft uses them, Sony uses them, but Intel could show something super interesting, get in the game, and really upend everything, right? I'm hoping that that's what's happening here, that they are hungry and they have interesting technology that will break up the duopoly that we have between AMD and Intel and NVIDIA. You know, so when I heard this deal and it's custom chips, we don't know if it's ARM or x86 variant. That also make a lot of determining factors, but yeah, it's super exciting that they're heading in this direction, especially because they've been rocking with AMD for so damn long. You know, it's good that they're looking elsewhere for potential innovation and whatnot. So yeah. That was my thought.
And they probably got, and then correct me if I'm wrong, they probably got a really good deal because Intel wants to get into the space, so it's lucrative for both parties.
Yes, your point on the deal, that is the part that's really interesting. Like I say, NVIDIA is no longer interested in gaming. it's because they have all the deals for AI. And who's the king in AI right now? Microsoft. Microsoft has basically turned them into $1 trillion company almost with all the AI that they have been pushing. And that's their number one partner in AI, right? So it's kind of given the space for Intel to kind of muscle their way in and possibly get into gaming. I hope they do, you know.
Yep. No, for sure, man. So what are your thoughts, Doc?
I'm afraid because I don't know as much as Asante knows, so I need to see it first, right? I'm just being honest. I need to see it first, and I know that as a casual computer gamer, Nvidia is the one that holds that title as far as popularity, right? The Nvidia would be equivalent to what the PlayStation is on the console side, or what iPhone is to cell phones, which people don't know why it's better. They just say that it's better, and it's just more popular for whatever reason. But I've seen many people argue that AMD is either catching up, or in some instances, it's better for you to get an AMD card than it would be to get an Nvidia card, right? But when it comes to Intel, I don't hear them at all. I do know that the new handheld that's going to come out by MSI has a Intel, the claw, right? Has an Intel chip in it. And when I saw that, I'm like, I don't know. I gotta wait and see exactly what it does. And then I think about the developers that have already been used to developing on AMD hardware. How is this gonna affect them if they gotta develop on Intel? I don't know. So for me, I'm scared. And I noticed that Xbox specifically, maybe not Microsoft, but Xbox has a problem of trying ideas too early. They're the right idea, but they bring them out way before we are ready to accept it, right? So you remember they got crushed with the TV. Do you know how many people I know use their consoles to watch Netflix, Hulu, all that stuff? When the Nintendo Switch came out, that was one of the criticisms that people had. It's like, well, why isn't it Hulu and Netflix on it, right? And it's like, okay, so you do want a console that does all this as well. But we crushed Xbox when they were the ones pushing it first, right? Subscription services keep getting crushed. Everybody's on a subscription right now to the point where even freaking EA Play on your computer has their own subscription service, right? Uplay has their own subscription service, but subscription services are bad. But again, ahead of the game. So that's what scares me. Sometimes I think Xbox has the vision and they execute it maybe too early before we are. So I don't know if Intel's there yet, but we'll see. I got trust in Asante though. So y'all hear it first. If it flops, it's
Asante. No, Dark. You make a good point though. But I would levy that criticism at Microsoft as a whole. Like anything they do, they tend to overshoot the ball because they see it going there. But of course, if you're there first, doesn't mean you're the most successful, right? Everything they say that would come to pass has come to pass. The Xbox One that people just kept dashing them. Look around. Everything they said would come to pass has come to pass with the DRM and all that extra, right? It all has come to pass. People keep throwing Kinect at them. But remember, Kinect, people just remember 2 parts of it. They don't remember both of it. They remember the visual, but you don't remember the audio. And the audio still lives to this very day. You're talking to your robot all day. Like, it exists, right? They just don't tend to package it and put it together in a way that can be marketable by them immediately. They shoot the shot, get all the arrows, and then somebody right behind them takes all the credit for making it. It happens all the time. So your point in let's wait and see is a very apt one. And I should caveat what you just said. I should caveat what I said by we should make sure that their heating solutions are back up to par. Because that's one thing that Intel has been notoriously problematic about. They overheat like constantly. So that MSI claw, I was like, yeah, that's interesting. I'll wait till the reviews. So I feel you on that. You know what I'm saying? So yes, 100%.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then so what about you, Nova? You read the article and stuff, and like we talked about it a little bit yesterday on Boom Show. What are your initial thoughts on this deal?
What kind of stood out to me was that Intel was making like custom chips for Microsoft, right? And it said in that same article that they were going to take a bite out of what TSMC, which is a huge Taiwanese semiconductor makers, excuse me, that makes in about 60% of the world's semiconductor and 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors that come out, right? Yeah. So now it's huge that Intel is starting to do things like that, because that may mean that a lot of the semiconductor production may come back stateside,
Okay.
because TSMC actually is like 15% of the GDP for Taiwan, which is huge.
Mhm.
But besides that, though, some of the small things that I did notice in that article, it said that this will shift the platform, will fundamentally transform productivity for every individual organization, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that didn't necessarily speak to coming to consoles. Every time I see productivity spoken about in this specific space, they're talking about headsets, let's put on a headset and let's all increase productivity for having digital spaces so we can work in. So it could be something that's going towards their AI space as well, or something that, for their web services per se.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it could be because it's a large deal. I'm almost positive they didn't spend $15 billion for it just to be
That's crazy.
handheld and
I think it's 15 billion over
console.
the relationship, right?
Over the relationship, right? But it also could be Surface tablets as well, or Surface. So it can all probably sync together. But we don't know. We're speculating, you know what I mean? So we could see, yeah. But it was an interesting point that they brought up productivity. So adding that into it, I suspect that the Surface team will get a hold of these chips as well. What say you?
I'm waiting to see if it's ARM. No, talk.
ARM.
That's the part that part that's very important to me. If it's ARM, then you know what they're doing. Then they're going full bore in that direction, probably operating systems and the whole thing. I just want to know what version they're looking at.
Okay.
Please tell us.
Scale, man, what are your thoughts on the article or on the news yesterday?
My thoughts are, and we took this from Nova. We were talking yesterday, and just about how the custom for a custom chassis type thing is going on. So I feel like with that, and this is Nova saying, I credit to him because he's speaking facts. It's like if they're doing the custom chassis for the custom chip, then that can possibly mean handheld. You know what I mean? Like just to get the everything together. I, from my perspective, personally, I want the handheld. I like this. I want this. I like it. They getting into the handheld market, and that's like the handheld market is doing so well, and they're so powerful. I think they have gotten their blueprint, so now they can just give it their own push. And given that thing with a nice user interface, it's sounding like it's about to be a good time. Like I think it's it's getting to that 360 feel of having a nice peripheral, you know what I mean, or not something different to go along with the gaming. So I'm excited for this personally. I'm very excited about it, to be real. Because not only me, I personally don't even have, and I know it sounds crazy, I don't even have an Xbox console. I just have a PC.
That is an Xbox. That's an Xbox. That's an Xbox. Every screen. Every single one.
All right. Well,
Phil said it.
Yeah. So I just have that, and I have a PS5 and a Switch. So that could put me in the market for getting them back into the ecosystem. You know what I mean? It's like, sure, I'll take that, and I can travel with that, and it's more powerful than the Switch. I'm sure. Tired of them 30 frames on Switch. I would like to play something nice. Be cool to play indie. Be cool to play Game Pass games. Be cool to play Call of Duty on my handheld. Just that simple from the Game Pass. All just you boot it up, boom, and then I got too much. It's just I like this. I like this. I'm gonna just say that.
It already exists.
Well,
yeah, but the battery life is trash on that thing. I'm sorry.
Mute him. Somebody mute him.
Yeah,
it's true though. I own one myself. The battery life is trash. It's
You're right,
trash.
you're right.
Come on.